Hello everyone and welcome to the Hunter Association, your source for all things Hunter x Hunter. My name is Kaige.
And my name is Dylan.
And on this week's episode, we will be doing our character retrospective on Kite.
Hell yeah. My man.
Yes, Dylan's favorite character. Then, of course, we will be going through our community comments. If you'd like to join in the community and have your comment read, be sure to comment on the YouTube version on the weekly community posts. Also, make sure to like and subscribe to help grow our community of Hunter x Hunter fans. Additionally, if you'd like to know when new episodes are live, click the bell to enable notifications. If you're an audio listener, make sure to rate, review, and comment on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter at TXHXAPod, as well as Bluesky at THAPod, for podcast-related updates and to submit responses to the weekly call-out posts. If you'd like, you can also still email us at hunterassociationpod@gmail.com. As always, we provide timestamps in the description if you'd like to skip ahead to any of the aforementioned segments.
There we go.
So, for once, guys, we have news.
Guys, we got a crumb of news. Kind of relevant, too. They kind of just shadow dropped this Nen Impact demo, in case you guys have been following along with our updates on the Hunter x Hunter fighting game. You can try it out for free if you really want to. If you haven't been able to attend any of the events that the demo showcased at, you can download it now on Steam, and you can test out the game for yourself. There's also a demo planned for the PS5 as well. Although that's yet to be released, and we don't know when that'll be released. It's a little weird. But if you have Steam, you can run the game. You can download it now and try it. There's 6 characters available. I believe Gon, Killua, Leorio, Karapika, Netero, and Hisoka. All of those are playable. Training mode is fully unlocked, so you can do whatever in there. And there's a little bit of story mode that they provide as well. It's kind of like the tutorial for the game. So... pretty cool stuff all around. There's been some crazy clips. Maybe we'll showcase some in the video version or something if Kaige feels up for it. Or, I don't know. But you can find a ton online. It's a crazy looking game, but it looks like a lot of fun. And I can't wait to dive into the demo myself. I'm sure Kaige is excited as well, huh?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm very excited that we have a demo. The game is fast approaching at this point, but it's really cool that we have a way to play it whenever we want now. Because I know... both you and I were really itching to play more after we got to play it at Frosty Faustings earlier this year.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm going to spend a decent amount of time just messing around in it, learning the controls, because the controls are kind of wonky for a fighting game, admittedly, right? Kind of more... They went down the more simplified route, I think, in terms of control schemes. And weirdly enough, that makes it a more difficult game to approach, I think. But,
yes.
Yeah, but I'm really excited to dive into it, and I think by the time this episode airs, we can technically say it releases next month. So
yeah,
fast approaching, like you said.
I know. I'm so excited. So yeah, that's all the news, but that's more than we usually got. So I'll take it.
We take what we can get around these parts.
And as for we got one Battle for Owl update. It's a very minor one. It's as always, this is a comic series done by Leo Dog, a viewer or listener of ours. If you'd like to know past installments of this, you can check our socials. But also now, as of last week, well, 2 weeks ago technically, but we had a break week. Insert Name has created a fan wiki for this comic, which is still being updated. If you haven't checked it out since 2 weeks ago, I'd recommend checking it out again. There's some new funny stuff in there. So yeah, always keep an eye out for that, because I love it so much.
I still can't believe it's a thing, in all honesty. But
very
appreciative though. It's very funny.
One minor nitpick, Insert Name though, you have to fix that uppercase U after Hunter on the one tab. It is driving me nuts every time I look at it. So yes, the update this week, it's not really an update. It's instead the debut of Chapter 2. Can you believe it, guys?
Whoa.
What a
reveal.
Whole
chapter we went through.
Yeah, that was a whole chapter, apparently. And we have a logo now for the Battle for Owl, and also it's officially called the Battle for Owl now, which I don't think it was before, but maybe I'm misremembering. Which is awesome. It has... This is just genius. I love how Owl's shades make up the bee. That is so funny.
Yeah, That just a very cool logo design in general. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's excellent. We have chapter 2, fan plus hater. I don't know what that is, but we'll find out.
Yeah, guess so. The One Piece fans within us, I think, are very appreciative of how this looks.
Yes, this is very much a One Piece cover page style thing, like a cover story with the quote at the bottom. It's an illustration of Dylan, me, and that old guy who was in my flashback briefly, who we still don't really know much about, but there he is. As well as Dylan remembering his Grandpa Tengen, killed by chimera ants. And this is also, we got a little behind the scenes stuff. We're in contact with Leo Dog pretty often, and he has told us that the people who we thought were Yuppie's family, his wife and kids last time, are in fact not Yuppie, just magical beasts that look like Yuppie, who I guess are related to Dylan, either biologically or adoptive. I don't know yet.
Does that make me a magical beast then by default?
I guess you're like half magical beast, yeah, if it's biological. Well,
interesting.
Maybe we'll find out.
Yeah, that's part of the mystery now, I guess, right?
Yeah. And the quote is, assuming Dylan would be saying this, is saying, "I won your old belt just like I promised, Grandpa." Aw.
So, Grandpa Tengen was also a champion, I guess.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, a lot of weird lore drops here, but I'm all for it. And then, yeah, the title of the chapter is still intriguing me, too. So we'll see if it relates to any of this, I guess. But very cool. I like this a lot.
Yes. Okay, with that, I think we're ready to talk about Kite.
Yeah, no, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm excited.
All right, everybody, welcome to our character retrospective on Kite. No last name, just Kite.
Last name. He doesn't need a last name. He's too cool for that.
That's right. He's evolved beyond last names.
Exactly.
So, as I'm sure we are all aware, Kite's story is not a long one. And some of you may even be clicking on this and being like, now how the hell is this video X amount of time long? Well, I don't know how long it is as of this moment, so I can't answer that.
Well, yeah, you got us there, I guess. So, we don't know.
But we had to do this. I mean, this is Dylan's favorite character, first and foremost. I love Kite. I don't love him nearly as much as Dylan does, but I do really enjoy Kite. And it's only you gotta do our favorite characters. We'll get the Meruem. Believe me, we'll get the Meruem. That's gonna be a long-ass episode, though. But Kite, he comes first. He's easier to do. We just had a break week. We were at a con. We're tired. So let's do a smaller one, but also one that is near and dear to one of our hearts.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of our thinking with this. And,
I guess a quick summarization of it, despite how short Kite's story really is up until this point, this current point in time anyways. I don't know. I feel like there's just a lot to the character despite that. Whether to the character himself or, how he's kind of used for other characters as well. So I think there's a decent bit to dissect here regardless. So, yeah, I'm really excited.
Yes. We'll just dive into it then. So as always with these character retrospectives, we go through in chronological order. So in Kite's case, a lot of his past comes obviously way after chapter 1, but this is where we're going to talk about it. So his early life and then leading into chapter 1, which is his first and only appearance until Chimera Ant. So
yeah, how long of a gap was that between chapter 1 and his Chimera Ant appearance?
200 chapters or so, roughly.
Has to be one of the longest of a main character, right? Between first appearance and the next appearance.
I would certainly think so, because my mind immediately goes to Shanks in One Piece, but because obviously we'll talk about that later. That there's a very clear comparison between those two characters, but he shows up again not that far into the future, even though it's not he still hasn't met Luffy again, obviously, but he has appeared pretty frequently, I'd say.
Right. It's just it's fascinating to me just how long of a gap it was. He's oh yeah, here's a really important looking character, and then just drops him for 200 chapters and then just brings him back randomly.
I love that though. It's really neat.
Absolutely, and we'll get to that when we get to the man's introduction. But
yes. But as far as his early life, unfortunately, not a whole lot of his past is known, and even the stuff we do know, it's kind of more like implications rather than fact. But even by him to an extent, because he has no idea where he was born. He was just kind of like a street rat, you know. He was raised on the streets. He kind of fended for himself. Was friendly with animals. Obviously, that's his whole thing. Mm-hmm. And that's where we see him chronologically first, is as a young kid in his first meeting with Jing, who he just kind of happens to stumble upon after stealing some food.
It was like some bread or something.
I think it was just a loaf of bread.
Which begs the question: why was Jing hanging out in like a sewer the entire time? Like,
you know,
why was he there?
Jing just kind of does stuff.
That's true, but for what reason was he just kind of like? It looked like he was like housing there for like an extended period of time almost.
I mean,
like,
he is homeless, so
fair enough.
He just needed to sleep, I guess. Why not a sewer?
I guess. Yeah, it's pretty secluded, I guess. So
yeah.
Yeah.
He's incredibly grateful to Jing because he thinks that Jing saved him from the fate of starving to death in an alleyway, which, hey, maybe. I mean, hard to say. I mean, he really, until he met Jing, there probably wasn't much to look forward to in his life.
No, he was just kind of stealing bread from citizens, and that was about it.
Yeah. But what like drew Jing towards Kite is that, you know, that key trait of hunters that animals liked him and all that kind of stuff. Right. It really it caught Jing's attention. So Jing took Kite in, and well, not in anywhere because homeless, but you know, he took him with him
under his wing, so to speak.
Yeah, under his wing, and taught Kite everything he knows. And these skills eventually allowed him to pass the hunter exams. But Jing had one more challenge for him afterwards: to hunt him.
Pretty impossible task, if you ask me. But you know.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Kite then spent an unknown amount of time searching for Jing. We have really no clue how long he was doing that. Probably years. Who knows?
The implication is that it was a very long time.
Yes, it sure seemed to be, because he passed the hunter exam. He wasn't like an adult yet. I think he was like a teenager-ish, roughly.
Something like that, I think.
It's
could be
hard
wrong,
to say, because again, it's all just like we look at it. We're not really told much of anything. Mm-hmm. Which, you know, during his search for Jing eventually leads him to Jing's hometown on Whale Island. There, of course, he meets Gon and saves him from being killed by a fox bear. Stop me if you've heard this one on the show before.
Yeah, I was going to say, not really a whole lot to say when we've talked about this specific event like 5 billion times now, I think.
So many times. It's getting comical at this point. But, you know, Kite punches Gon and lectures him on how stupid he was to be in the fox bear's territory. Kite laments the fact that he had to take the life of an animal for no reason. Kite is about to kill the fox bear cub to put it out of its misery, but Gon says that he will take care of it. This impresses Kite and leads him to ask if he is Jing's child. Which, of course, he is. The two talk for a while, and Kite reveals that Jing is still alive and that he is looking for him right now. He then gives Jing's hunter license to Gon and tells him that hunting Jing is the hardest hunt in the world.
Oh, man. So, we've talked about this a billion times, so I'm sure all of our regular listeners at least know what our thoughts is about this event in general. But I just love how this just sets up Gon's entire story, basically, from the get-go. This definitely like the Shanks parallel, like you talked about earlier too, in that, you know, Kite just kind of immediately marked himself as like a role model for Gon almost, and that's what Gon kind of aspires to be, like the imagery of Kite specifically, and I don't know, just there's something really nice about that to me, and obviously the share of like the, you know, love for animals kind of carries on between the two as well, so there's that connection. I don't know. It's just very sweet. Their dynamic to me.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I love Chapter 1 a lot. It's one of my favorite Chapter 1s in Shonen. It's just such a effective way to introduce us to this world, and Kite is a big reason for that. I mean, he's a very memorable inclusion in that chapter, and he is like, that is a hunter to Gon. That is literally the only hunter he ever met until way later. Like that's the guy. This is what he wants to be. He's the crux of the entire story.
And it's so funny because even in that one chapter, Kite is presented as almost like more of a father figure to Gon than Jing will ever be described as in any kind of appearance or mention. So there's that too. So Kite becomes very memorable as a result of that. And also got to give credit just Kite's design in general too.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think his design is very, very, very good. And very recognizable.
Yeah, one of my favorite designs in Hunter x Hunter for sure. I love how he looks. That's his inclusion in chapter 1. That's it. Obviously Hunter x Hunter 2011, we get none of that at all. We'll talk about that later. We've talked about that a lot already, but we'll talk about it again. Don't worry. And then recently we learned in 99 he actually stays around for a few days on Whale Island, and Gon kind of continuously goes back and forth to him, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Neat little addition. So eventually Kite does find Jing off screen, of course, because I mean, why would that be shown? But it happened.
It did happen.
And presumably shortly after this, he took on a 3-year contract documenting unknown species for the Kakian government with his group of friends with insane names: Banana Cavaro, Linkoshi, Monta Urus, Podungo Lapoi, Spinner Clow, and Stick Dinner, my favorite.
I forget about these names literally every time, and it makes me laugh every time I hear them again.
Yeah, it really is. It's one of those like sleeper memories. Like they only come back when you need them. And you laugh all over again.
Stick Dinner.
Stick Dinner. That's my goat. And all of them seem to be quite fond of Kite. We have no idea how they met, but they like love this guy.
Yeah.
So
little tight-knit group of friends.
Yeah. Yeah, really cool. Although Kite discovered the lowest number of species, his discovery of camp tigers marked the most important accomplishment of the group. He attributed his low numbers to his experience with working with large mammals instead of small insects. So basically his group, like each of them found a absurd amount of creatures. I do not remember the numbers, but it's actually like mind-blowing to think of how many creatures they discovered. And Kite, I think, found like less than 100, but the ones he found were like major deals, huge deals.
Okay, so I did manage to pull up some numbers here.
Okay.
I guess Kite revealed at some point that Lin discovered the most with more than 1,000
in
3 years.
That is just absurd.
And in which Lin corrected him, saying the exact number is 1,019. So
hell yeah, let's go.
Lin's a guy. Oh, he. Okay, sorry, my bad. Again, the names aren't that memorable to me. I only know the faces, so I just Another member playfully adds that Kite is last with only 68.
That's right. Yeah. Almost 69.
Almost. He almost hit the magic number. But,
almost. Yeah. You stopped short, unfortunately.
Yeah. But yeah.
So
we love Kite regardless. He's fine.
Yeah, but that's just to say that he's a focused man. He's not worried about the little things. He's focused on the bigger picture.
Which is ironic considering what we're about to go into. Right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So now jumping to the Chimera Ant arc proper. Obviously, what we just talked about was technically that arc, but it was before it. Whatever. So. After Gon and Killua complete Greed Island, they then try to use a company to go to Jing, but instead they are sent to Kite. Kite is happy to see Gon, and the three of them sit around a campfire and share stories with each other.
What a lovely little reunion this is if you're not watching 2011.
Yes, the 2011 version of this scene is a damn travesty.
Okay, I will argue that there is something kind of cool about there just being like a mysterious man that 2011 presents it to be. But with the knowledge that he's supposed to be introduced at the very beginning, it kind of falls on his ass.
Yeah, it does. And it's just the fact that like the anime, if you don't know what you're looking at and you see, okay, this guy shows up and now all of a sudden Gon's saying like, oh, I know this guy. I've known him my whole life, yada, yada. It comes as so random and weird. And I remember being really confused whenever I first watched it. I was like, did I like forget something? But
Yeah, it's very random in that regard. But like before that moment, like is revealed, even just like the introduction of like who the hell is this guy? And he just like pulls up with like a gun randomly, right? And like I don't know, very like cool introduction, and then it gets confusing. But yeah, either way, it's very sweet in every other incarnation.
I know, it's just a totally different tone because exactly as you said, in the manga it's a very sweet moment, but in the 2011 it's like mysterious. It's neat. Like it is fun to watch, but it's so different.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So after they catch up, he invites the two boys to join his biological survey group, and they accept. So this is where time gets all weird. The Chimera Ant arc is very weird with time usage, but they do seem to spend quite a bit of time together. I don't know if it's days, weeks, months. I have no idea, but they do actually do biological surveying with him for a notable amount of time. We just don't get to see it happen, really.
No, they kind of skim over it, unfortunately, from what I recall. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of bonding time there, though, and that's important, obviously, for where the character eventually goes. But yeah, really sweet stuff. The scenes that we were shown, though, just like fun times.
Yeah, they had a good time. Yeah, like the small scenes we see, they're having a good time. It's really cute.
Which is really funny considering like the introduction also was like Kite like basically like reprimanding them, like why would you go near a Chimera Ant? Because if you remember
exactly, yeah.
I don't recall how it is in the manga, but like 2011 is like I think Killua was like about to like touch just like a tiny looking insect, and the Kite was like shot it like a billion times into the ground. Like why would you dare go step? So it didn't seem like it was all fun and games, but then they decided to have fun after that.
Yeah, that's another issue I have with 2011 is it introduces the stakes way earlier because in the manga they don't mention Chimera Ants then. They don't mention that for a while.
I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, no, there's no ant nest at the where Kite's sitting. It's insane. But whatever. It happened, but
it did happen.
But yeah, good times must come to an end, unfortunately, as a Chimera Ant queen arm is discovered by another expedition team to have washed up on shore. And knowing how dangerous this could be, Kite's group then sets off to investigate the source of the arm, which they believe to be a nation called NGL, or Neo Green Life. Which we all know is what we think is just like a peaceful, nature-loving nation, but it's actually a little more than that.
Yeah. A lot of behind-the-scenes stuff going on in that nation, unfortunately.
A little bit.
But, yeah. Also, how many of you actually remember that NGL stood for Neo Green Life? Because I'll be honest, I forgot.
Yeah, it's not very important to remember.
It's always just NGL in my head.
Yep, NGL. Upon arriving at NGL, only he, Gon, Killua, Stick Dinner, and Podongo Lapoi, thank God Stick Dinner's in the group. I don't know what they do without him. Are able to advance because of the country's strict rules. They are also required to change clothes to enter, and these are the best fits in the series.
Absolutely, bar none, no contest.
Although Kites are like basically exactly the same. I think he just changes like the stomach band's color. That might be a problem.
I was about to say I don't remember his clothes changing like at all.
Yeah, I don't think they change at all, but
everyone else does.
Yeah. And if you don't remember, the others couldn't enter because of like they had like implants and shit, and NGL's not cool with that.
Right.
So shortly after, the team receives a message from Ponzu explaining that the situation is already worse than they had hoped. Following a trail of death, they eventually encounter an ant named Ramot. I have no idea how to say his name. I will never know. It doesn't matter.
Whatever, yeah.
Kite sits this one out and instead lets the boys take care of him to test their abilities. They totally wipe the floor with him, and Kite is satisfied.
There we go. I find, like, I don't know. The way that Kite just kind of, like, lets Gon and Killua do their whole thing, like, the entire time that they're together is just, like, really cool to me. And it's very... How do I put this? He's taking up a mentor role, obviously, in this kind of, like, situation, right? But, like, unlike... he takes, like, the coolest aspects of Jing, I feel like, and, like, makes it just, like, so much more likable. It's kind of like how he's presented as like, a mentor figure, specifically. And I think that's especially why, like, Gon kind of like bonds to him like as quickly as he does, right? Because again, like I mentioned earlier, he kind of is his father figure to a
Yeah.
degree, whether Gon would admit it or not.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's like an alternate reality if Jing was like actually like a nice human being. That's how I
Yes.
see Kai does.
So this is something I was going to get into earlier, but I guess I'll talk about it now. Is that Kite is what Gon wanted Jing to be.
Mm-hmm.
And
Bingo.
I think it is so cool that we get this arc right before Gon actually meets Jing, where we see, like exactly as you said, this is basically an alternate reality where he does meet Jing and he's a cool ass guy and they go on an adventure together and dies heroically. That's not what happens. Jing is an asshole. But this, Gon still got to have that experience, which is it's nice. He found solace in another person who was willing to step up and be there for him.
And that's just
Be a role
one
model.
cool, And that's just one cool aspect about this arc too. With the stakes this high and like everything being in your face, like this can get real dangerous real quick. It still finds a way to like show almost like father-son like bonding moments, and like Killua is there obviously too. That kind of extends to him as well. I think Killua looks up to Kite a lot in that regard.
Yes,
And
for different reasons.
Yeah, for different reasons. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, just like little things like this, like this moment in particular, where Kite's just like, all right, have at it, boys. Like, let me see your skills, right? I don't know, just cool to me. I just love Kite as like a mentor role specifically. I think he fits the bill incredibly well.
Yeah, he absolutely does. Shortly after this, they stumble upon a narcotics factory, which was once home to the country's shadow leader, Gyro.
Oh,
Gyro.
Hopefully we hear that name again one day.
Hey, I hope. There they encounter a group of ants led by Yunju, who is, if you forgot, is the freak who had like humans as dogs, like they were pets to him. And he steps on them both and kills them.
Very creepy stuff.
Yes. Knowing that Yunju is the leader, Kite is the one who faces him while the boys take on Yunju's subordinates. He first fights him without his net ability, but decides to use it just to fight the end faster. Just to end the fight faster. He did not need to use it.
Just to fight the end faster.
Fight the end faster, yeah. He absolutely did not need to use that ability, though. He would have gotten it without it.
That was so cool to me, though, like, experiencing it the first time. Kite's just like, all right, I don't need to use this. Like, you're basically, like, nothing to me, but, like, whatever. Let's just get it over with.
It's just, yeah. As another, Kite is... He's presented as like a very lazy and like carefree kind of guy, but he's kind of not. It's like a facade. I really enjoy that about him.
It's like it's a very like he's just a very reserved personality.
Yeah,
I think. But like it comes off as like I feel like we all have like that one person in our lives that's like tries to be incredibly humble about like literally everything when they have no like they don't need to be humble. Like they know they're that good. Like you know that they can talk the talk, so to speak, right? Kite doesn't do that though. But like he's the real deal, despite what he may be presented as or talks like. And that's just his character. And I love him for that. I think it's so funny.
Yeah, it's great. And of course the gimmick, we're gonna talk about Crazy Thoughts in a second, but every time he rolls, no matter what it is, he always says it's a bad roll. It's a funny gimmick. So this is now where we see his net ability for the first time, unless it's the 2011 anime. You saw it earlier, but this is where we actually see it for the first time.
This is where
Crazy
it's
Slots
explained in both sides.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
A relatively easy ability to explain for once. It's actually incredibly simple, at least at a surface level. It's Kite conjures a Nen beast that looks like a clown to roll a number between 1 and 9. Each number corresponds to a different weapon that Kite can use. And this is why this explanation is so short. Only 3 of these weapons have ever been shown, and only 2 of them we know what they do. So we've seen a scythe, a gun, and a wand or something.
Staff.
I saw the wiki called it a mace. I guess it could be a mace. It's just a
really
little
know.
stick with Crazy Sloth's head at the end of it. I don't know what it was, and we probably will never know. According to Jing, the Crazy Sloth's ability has a number that only comes up when Kite desperately does not want to die.
Important to note, though, that is purely speculation on Jing's part, too.
Yes.
We don't really know.
Yeah, a lot of the times we talk about Kite's ability, I mean, this happened several times on the show already, we always mention the fact that anything Jing says is speculative, but it's Jing, so, like...
You kind of have to take what he says seriously.
Right, yeah.
You know, that's the number 1 hunter in the world, basically, so...
Yeah.
Kind of when the intuition is there, you should probably listen, right?
Right. So the thinking is that either, there's like a number 0 or like a 10, or the number 3 that he rolls later with the wand is that secret number. We don't know.
And there is one other detail we'll talk about in a bit that kind of points towards that, the number 3 being what's referred to there.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we don't really know, unfortunately. That's the mystery behind Crazy Slots, which I think makes for a very, I don't know. It's just very cool to think about going forward, I think. Crazy Slots is just a cool net ability in general. It's one of my favorites in the series.
Yes, I love Crazy Slots. I wish we saw it more. It's so cool.
Hey, maybe we see it again one day. Who knows?
Hey, we might. We don't actually know if their new body has Crazy Slots, though, but who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, maybe it carries over.
Yeah, we have no clue.
So
it really is. Also, another detail I did not write is that he can only use it, or he has to use the weapon before he can use another one. Like he can't just put it away and reroll. He has to do something with it.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a time limit aside from that, or it's just you have to use it once. At least.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any time limit. I think it really is just use it and then you're good.
Yeah, I'll look that up just to confirm while you keep on reading.
So during this fight with Yunju, Kite rolls a 4, which is the gun, and one-shots Yunju with it. He just shoots him right in the head. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's all you need sometimes, huh?
Yep. He calls that a bad roll, of course.
Bad roll.
Bad roll.
One-shots him.
Yeah. Awesome. It's funnier later when we'll get to that.
Yeah.
The group is now heading towards the nest, which, obviously that's where the king, in theory, would be. Well, at this point, they're hoping to prevent the birth of the king. They're also hoping that the royal guards haven't been born yet, but, well, we'll see that in a second. The group is now heading towards the nest, but Yunju's death is immediately discovered by the ants as the trio, the trio becomes targets of Hagya's division, later known as Leol. Mm-hmm. The subgroup led by Frog, who, if you remember, is the frog.
Yeah, wow. Never would have guessed.
Approaches and wishes to fight the group in one-on-one fights. They do so, but once it gets to Kite's turn, he rolls a 2, which gives him the scythe, which, of course, he calls a bad roll. And with this, he uses an ability called Silent Waltz and decapitates every single ant in the group. All of them.
And I'm going to say it easily, top 5 coolest scenes in the series for me.
Yep.
That was so
It's
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It is incredibly cold. Holy shit.
The perspective of, I can't remember which ant it was, but
it's
seeing,
Frog.
From Frog's perspective, as you just kind of see slowly go upwards and implying his head got cut off, and then just panning out to everything in the area being decapitated.
Yes, it's incredibly well done in the anime, and especially with the inner monologue from Frog being so this is the fear of death.
Yep. Oh my god, I get chills every time.
It's amazing. It is such a great moment, and it's just made all the better by the fact that Kite does that. And right before he does it, he says it's a bad roll.
Bad roll. Yeah.
Bad roll.
He would get a whole nuke as a weapon and he'd call it a bad roll. I love him.
You can almost justify it in this case because maybe he wanted to actually do a one-on-one fight, but the scythe did not allow that to happen.
Oh, so maybe he's nope, you're killing everyone right now.
Yeah.
I mean, look at it from that perspective, I guess.
Yeah. Then afterwards, another aura farming moment. They encounter Hagya and 2 other high-ranking ants, and they decide to not fight at all because Kite scared the shit out of them.
So yeah, smart decision.
Because from their perspective, they just watched an entire group of ants die, and he is not even sweating. A
whole battalion. That was a whole section of their
army
that got wiped out by.
That was an army. Yeah, that wasn't it wasn't 10 ants. They were surrounded.
Yeah, and Kite one-shot all of them with ease. So
yep.
Yeah, I'd run away too, honestly.
Oh, and another like small like underrated part of that scene is how he like just coolly and calmly tells Killua and Gon to jump in 3 seconds.
Yeah, he's like, in 3 seconds, jump up.
Jump. That's all he says, and they just like, all right, got it.
You're the man.
So cool.
Love it. Yeah, the Kite was definitely aura farming there. He didn't really need to do all that, I think, but it was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah. And then we approach the sad.
Yep.
As they approach the nest, Kite and P2 can unfortunately sense each other, and P2 immediately flies straight towards Kite as he tells the boys to run, and Kite loses an arm in doing so.
Protecting Gon specifically, pushing him out of the way.
Mm-hmm. Sucks. Gon is pissed and wants to fight, but Killua knocks him out and runs off with him. Kite and Pito are now left alone. His only goal is to buy time for them to escape, because he knows he cannot win this fight. There's no chance.
Which is so sad, because like the framing of this is so incredible, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Going from all those moments of Kite showing how badass and like powerful Kite is, just to immediately like halt the brakes right here with this moment is incredible storytelling by Tagashi's part.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite like moments of displaying the stakes and like the scale in like media. It's just so ballsy too, because you have this character we really just met, like we just re-met, and we're showing like how insanely powerful he is. This is like top deal hunter. This is the strongest hunter we have ever seen.
Yep.
And now the firstborn royal guard, not even the king, not the other two, the first one that's born, apparently wipes the floor with him and has him like scared. Like, I'm not winning this.
Yeah.
That is incredible work.
Incredible. It sets the tone and stakes for the rest of the arc incredibly well. And again, I have to commend the ordering of which this happened, because I don't think it's a coincidence that Tagashi wanted to like hype him up as much as he did right before ripping our hearts out, right?
Yeah.
And that's just one-on-one storytelling right there. But it's beautiful regardless. I really commend it.
Absolutely incredible. We're not done quite yet. He's about to die, we know. But he rolls a 3 and summons a wand-like thing that we talked about earlier that we have no idea what it does at all. Crazy Slots does claim that it was a good roll, though. Kite doesn't really say anything, but Crazy Slots is pretty pumped about it.
It's notable, though, and it kind of points toward his theory that maybe that one is the one, maybe he refers to, because when Crazy Slots rolled every other weapon, usually Crazy Slots was the one being like, ooh, tough luck, man, or something like that.
Yeah.
He was always the one kind of egging Kite on whenever he got like the gun or the scythe. But yeah, he says this one's good though for some reason. Very odd, especially for the situation he's in at this point in time.
So I've kind of always interpreted this as just giving Kite some like ease of mind, because Crazy Slots' whole demeanor changes in this last moment. He's taking it pretty seriously. He's like, all right, man, you gotta get a good spin here. We're done for. He probably knows as well as Kite does that this is it. And he's just trying to make something out of it. But who knows? I am kind of a believer that number 3 is that one roll, but okay, we just have no idea. Yeah. Unfortunately.
There's very little context as to what that weapon could possibly do. So
yeah.
Just kind of pulling at straws here, unfortunately. But I like that there's multiple ways to look at that kind of whole event in general, though. I don't know. Just goes to show how beloved Kite is as a character, anyways. People theorizing all over the place.
Oh yeah. Of course, this role doesn't really matter in the end because he is killed, which we don't see until later. Well, it's the end of the episode in the anime. I don't remember. I think it might just be the end of the chapter 2 in the manga. I can't remember, but he's decapitated, and yeah, that's all we see. We don't see the rest of the fight.
So mean in 2011, by the way, because like it just immediately cuts to the credits after that reveal. Like, just sitting on that, like, oh my god, painful. Yeah. I remember because obviously 2011 was my first way of experiencing the show, or experiencing Hunter x Hunter. But like whenever that happened and it just immediately cut to the credits, I think I then proceeded to do the longest binge of my time watching the show the very
Yeah.
first time.
How could you not?
I could not put it down at that point. I was not before taking like a 10-minute break to process what the hell happened though, because I was just in complete shock. Like my naive like 14-year-old me or whatever thought that Kite would have beat P2 for sure, but didn't happen.
Yep.
I was naive. I was foolish.
It did not happen. And then, of course, an entire arc happens, but we don't get to talk about that here because Kite's dead. But he's still technically involved in a way, but, we'll see here. Pito enjoyed their fight so much that they decided to keep his body and try to get him into a state where he could fight Pito anytime they wanted. Obviously, it didn't really work out exactly how Pito wanted, though, and instead Kite was just a lifeless puppet. So his body was functioning, his Nen ability did work, but it wasn't him. He didn't have his mind, so it was just like, I mean, what is this to me?
It was lifeless.
Yeah.
But I think that says a lot, though, as to how, like, oh, my light dimmed out. Awesome.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think it goes to show, though, how much P2 really respected Kite by the end of their fight, though. Because it's implied they were fighting for quite a long time, which is impressive, considering Kite was kind of doomed from the beginning, right? But, yeah, I don't know. I think that there's something about that to me. They're like, even Pito could kind of respect like how incredible Kite was, like at least at fighting, at least at just like his sheer ability, right? But kind of seems that maybe there was kind of just respect out of like just his being in general too, just from the way Pito kind of describes their mindset regarding that.
Yeah, for sure. So his body is involved lightly, but we're not going to talk about all that. It's not him. That's the point of what that is. So that's not his story. That doesn't matter. Yeah. But what his story is during the rest of this arc isn't really known to us until the following arc. But he is reborn during this arc. He is a very tiny baby, like really small.
Very small.
Yes, unbelievably small from the Ant Queen that died like pretty early in the arc, all things considered.
Which is so weird because that's like the last Chimera Ant born, right?
Yeah.
It was born after the Royal Guard and the King, which is so interesting. I think about that part a lot.
Yeah. Yes, it's very, very interesting, and I don't think we've seen the end of the implications there, personally.
No,
but we'll
I
see.
don't think so either. But yeah.
So yeah, that is Kite now. Colt takes this baby, which is it's Kite.
Yeah.
And raises them while they age at a rapid pace. Already able to speak by the end of the arc, and claiming that their name is Kite.
I remember exactly where I was when I saw that reveal for the first time. I was like just like binging Hunter x Hunter like in my bed or something. And then that happened and I legit like jumped out of my bed and like, holy shit, what? Like how in the world is that possible?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. That was such an insane reveal to me.
I really love it. There's people that have opinions on that reveal. I'm not one of them though. I really think it's good. I like it. It's effective.
I feel like most people's arguments would come down to like it kind of like takes away the stakes of like Kite's sacrifice, but at the same time, this is like very much not the same Kite that we grew accustomed to. And like even if like they retain their memories, like we're gonna talk about shortly, like they lost a lot of shit in the process too, So yeah, I don't know. I don't see that personally. I think this is still very good work.
I don't think it affects any of the stakes or tension at all. It's that arc is still just as good as it was, guys. I don't know. It's not that big of a deal. And a lot of people do share that opinion with us. I don't think that is the majority, but there are people out there who don't really like that decision, but So that's the end of Kite and Chimera Ant, effectively. I mean, really, it was when he died, but he technically was also in it beyond that.
Yeah, but it kind of extends into a 13th chairman election arc, though. Like
it sure does. Yeah, this is the first time we won't really break down arc discussion because, I mean, it kind of bleeds right into in Kite's case.
Yeah.
So Kite continues to age rapidly, and by the time of this arc, they appear to be a teenager? Question mark. Young
adult.
teenager.
Like,
I don't know
and
what they are.
it's ambiguous.
Yeah, it's completely ambiguous, just as ambiguous as their gender. So Jing speculates that this has something to do with crazy slots. No further details are known about it, though. That's all we got.
I do want to point out here, because I don't see it written in the script here. At least I don't see it immediately. It's noted on at least from Hunterpedia, and I trust that this was sourced well from the actual episode or chapter, right? That Kite explained at some point that like they lost their Nen abilities after their rebirth. So
I thought that was the case. Yeah, I wasn't certain though.
not confirmed if the ability can be relearned or not, but at the very least, there is some kind of confirmation that, crazy slots at least doesn't exist at this current point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kite then has a very long talk with Koala. This is one of my favorite moments in the series. I love this
Yes.
conversation. Where after listening to his story, they propose to him to stay by their side forever to atone for his sins and live his life as a human, and as like Kai. Oh my god, I can't say this word right now. Chimera ant.
Yeah. So I like this scene a lot too. Kite is still very much like it's in this scene in particular. You can really see like, yeah, this is Kite like speaking. Like, I don't know. It's and I really appreciate that, despite like the change of appearance and demeanor to some extent, obviously. But yeah, just a very cold talk to Koala. Like, okay, yeah, like, you fucked up. You're gonna atone. And you're gonna stay.
Yeah, like Kite listens to this whole story, this whole sob story, just like straight faced, no look in their eyes at all, just pretty empty, and then just kind of ends the conversation with, "Yeah, I mean, stay by my side and atone. That's all you can do, man."
Yep. Love it.
Yeah, and Koala accepts it. Then, shortly after, a brighter conversation, Gon appears and apologizes to Kite for the Pito incident and says that they both need more training and that he will be able to fight by their side next time.
I love this conversation so much. It's after everything that Gon went through, it's just so nice to be able to like see like, hey man, like it's not the end of the world isn't always like right in front of you, right?
Right.
Kite's still here despite all odds being stacked against him previously. So, I don't know. It's just so sweet to see that reunion.
Absolutely, yeah. Both of them smile, and Kite says that they are delighted that Gon came to see them and that he should go after Jing, assuring him that when they need help, they will contact him and Killua. They say goodbye to each other, and Gon leaves to find Jing.
And it's that sentence right there. I firmly believe, and I feel like most people are of this belief as well, but like it's worth saying still. Like, I think Kite will be involved in the story again at some point. It's just a matter of where do they fit in,
Yeah.
So having that to look forward to, hopefully, if Togashi gets around to it. Assumingly, like, being involved with whenever maybe Gon and Killua get re-involved in the story again too.
Right.
I look forward to that every single day. I think about it so much, about like what that would look like.
Yep, me too. I'm curious to see if any comments have anything to say about that, but I have a lot of hope for what this character could do in the future. If we ever see it, who knows? I try not to think about that too often because you never know how much Hunter x Hunter we're really going to get. But if we were to see Kite again, I'd be so excited about it, man.
Especially because, like, obviously it's known at this point that, like, Kite is aging very rapidly, right? But, like, to what extent will it happen? Like, will, like, Kite just be, like, a full-on adult by the time, like, we see him again in the story?
Like, does it stop? Or...
Yeah, like what's the extent of that? And also, by an even more important question, I think, does that kind of, like, expedited growth extend to maybe relearning Nen as well? Like, like, is there just like off-screen learning of Nen going on with Kite as like we're on the boat? Maybe do they have crazy slots again? Just a whole new ability? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff to think about there, and I'm eagerly anticipating if Togashi will ever give us answers to that, because I miss Kite. I miss Kite so much.
Yeah, me too. Kite is then seen once more at the end of the arc with Gon, Koala, and the biological survey crew watching a flock of small-billed swans fly overhead.
So sweet.
And that's it. That's it for Kite. For now.
For now. Hopefully. I can't say for sure, I guess.
No, we can't say for sure. So yeah, that's Kite's story. That's the whole thing. It's a very short one, but that's his story. Their story.
Very short story, but I think a very important character.
Yes.
Regardless, because it kind of sets up our main protagonist of the vast majority of the series in Gon. Like that is a central character to Gon's whole entire story, and almost like a foil of sorts too, because kind of lets that relationship with Kite get in his head, obviously, which leads him to a lot of the dark parts of Gon's story in particular. But yeah, I don't know. Despite what you may think about like Kite as a character, and you know, like most other people's attachment to Kite isn't going to be the same as mine. I think Kite's role in the story, though, overall is just a very like special place to me, and it's one of the first few characters that I've experienced in anime that like kind of gave me the shock factor of like having like a big death like that, especially. So it holds an important place in my heart as well, for just a special experience I had consuming all that for the first time. And he's just cool. I'm a sucker for just like very cool, stylish characters, and Kite definitely fits the bill there for me.
Yeah, for sure. He's like we talked about, his design is one of the best in the series. And you know, I would argue Kite, beyond just being important, he might just straight up be the most important character, like side character in the series. He is the story. Like if he didn't exist, the story doesn't happen.
Nope.
And that applies. Yeah, that applies to chapter 1, and it applies to Chimera Ant as well. Like that arc doesn't happen without him, and the whole story doesn't happen without him. He is. I guess you could say like, yeah, this is a character that is only used for setting things up, which. Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, that is the case. But that's fine. I don't think that's bad. And
it's no different from like how you see like maybe like Shanks in One Piece, going back to that comparison, right? Like kind of a very similar thing there too, if you really think about it.
He is becoming more of an active player, though, I will say, in Shanks' case. But for it's in a 1,000-something chapter long series, the large majority of it, yeah, he is just like a setup guy.
Yeah. And that's fine. Like that's fine for a character to be that, I think. And they can still be a very special character despite that. And it's funny that we're talking about like Kite being like the setup character too, though, because like if we're thinking about like a potential reintroduction to the series as well, Kite will probably be a setup again for Gon's story in the future.
Yes, almost certainly.
Third time. Just a funny thing to think about. But, yeah, Kite's just super cool, regardless, and I'm curious for what the future holds.
Yeah, obviously, we both love Kite. Just Dylan loves him just a little more than me.
A little bit more. I got a whole figure of him.
Yes, you bought a figure at MomoCon. Do you have that handy?
Yeah. Not on me. No, it's in the other room. Yeah,
damn.
But we can maybe like flash a picture on the screen right now or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's the. I'll look up the name of the figure. We can at least link it in the description. But
yeah, it's a cool.
Had to get one for my favorite character.
Yeah, it's audio listeners, and also if I don't put it on screen or something, it's like from his final moments in his original body with the wand. And you can choose to display it with or without an arm, which I think is cool.
Vibration Star. That's the.
There you go.
But that's the name of the series.
It's not a vibrator though.
No, it is not that. I promise you. It's like one of those prize figures that you get from like a Japanese crane machine. Yeah, super cool.
Yeah, very cool. So before we get the community comments, a few little fun facts. Not a lot to say about Kite in that regard, but a little bit. Mm-hmm. Kite is the first character we ever see in the manga. It's the first guy you see. He's the first thing you see. And how fitting is that? He's the hunter. That's a hunter.
He's the hunter. That is the definition of a hunter. Not only to Gon, but just the series in general.
In general, he's a hunter.
Yep.
Kite did not play the Greed Island game properly, but he reveals that Jing took him inside the game once. This is how his name is in the player book at all.
I really want to see like what that was like how long they were in there for. Like, was
Yeah.
Kite just like, what the hell is this Jing? Like, because that's how I imagine his reaction being.
Yeah,
But,
I kind of imagine it was like in and out, unless he actually did want to show Kite the game, which is possible. But I think it was mostly for the ulterior motive of just having him be the,
Yeah.
the place that Gon goes to if he uses
Yeah,
the company.
that's very Jing-like actually when I think of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm believing that now going forward.
Like, I imagine he took him in there, was like, dude, check this out, and then just like took him out immediately.
Yeah.
Turned around. Colt initially named baby Kite Reyna after his late sister from when he was a human, but that name obviously didn't last very long at all.
No, the moment they started calling themselves Kite, that went down the drain, unfortunately.
Yep.
Not that
And
Colt minded.
no, Kite did not mind. In the first character popularity poll, Kite placed 10th with 243 votes. This is like way back.
I was about to say,
And
when was that popularity poll? Like,
this would have been around like late Hunter exams.
oh wow, okay. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So like, Kite
Well,
only
he's-
showed up for like a chapter, but that's
Yeah.
crazy that he placed 10th regardless.
This
of that.
is, again, talking about Shanks, extremely similar because the first One Piece character popularity poll, it's like around like, midway through East Blue-ish, and Shanks is like number 8 or something on there, and he's only in the one
Yeah.
chapter at that point. Just, yeah, something about those kind of characters. But then obviously way later in the third popularity poll, Kite placed 4th with 1,511 votes. Wow, what growth there.
Yeah, I'm assuming that was during Chimera Ant, probably,
Yes.
right? Or
Yes.
yeah.
I think even before he died, so.
That would make sense then. Yeah.
And
How
the
could
last
you
fun
not
fact.
see the? Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I like. How could you not see like the silent waltz scene? In
Oh
just,
my
like,
god,
not
yeah,
be-
right?
I imagine as soon as that happened, everyone was like, "All right, Kai's my favorite character, like hands down."
Easily, yeah.
Yeah.
And for the final fun fact, the 2011 anime fucked up big time.
It did. It did. I can't really defend that as much as I may try to rationalize my experience with it.
The director himself has even come out and said that he regrets that deeply. So it's shameful, sinful, but
It is
happened.
what it is, and I think it's telling that despite that big of a fuck up in terms of like presenting the character, there's people like me who still really are attached to that character and his design and just kind of everything about him, regardless. And obviously the manga just makes that way cooler, but yeah, I don't know. There's something to be said about how just cool he is and how I can't really reword this anymore than I just did, I think. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's just too important. Imagine, Dylan, if One Piece cut out Shanks. Can you imagine that?
There is not a world in which I can imagine that. No.
No, it just doesn't work. And the story did work in 2011 for a while, but then it reached the point where it kind of didn't anymore, and they had to scramble to find a way to make it work.
Right. And they made it work by just like, oh yeah, I remember you.
Yeah,
and
like, oh, right,
flashback
that guy. And it's just so much less effective.
it. For sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is what it is.
So yeah, that's Kite. I think we're both very excited to see what everybody else had to say about him. So let's keep the conversation rolling.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get into community comments now. Okay, now it's time to go into community comments and see what you guys have to say about my favorite character, Kite. As always, if you want to get in on the discussion week to week, make sure you keep an eye out for the YouTube community posts, as well as call-out posts on our Twitter and Bluesky accounts. And if you're an audio-only listener, you can always email us your thoughts on any given topic at hunterassociationpod@gmail.com. It's been a bit since I've said that line. I almost screwed it up there.
Yeah.
Starting off, we have one Twitter response that we are going to talk about today from Terror of Talos, saying, unfortunately, I was too late with my admittedly lengthy comment for the second part of the Going retrospective, which you guys wouldn't have had time to read anyway, lol. But at least I'll make this one. Yeah, funny thing about that one, I'm pretty sure you submitted that like 20 minutes to half an hour after we started recording anyways. So it's just
Yeah, it wasn't on our
Incredibly
radar.
unlucky timing.
And we, to be honest, we might have tried to make room for it. I can't say for certain, but yeah, that was a bummer. you just barely missed it.
Yeah, it was very unlucky. But yeah, like you said, we kind of had to cut a lot of comments for that anyways. We just did not have the time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But again, if you guys are interested in any of the comments from that episode that we didn't read, again, I urge you to check out the YouTube community post, especially since that's where the bulk of everything is there. There was a lot of good discussion there from what I checked out. So
yeah, there were some great comments there. We didn't even get to read insert names comment on that one. We only read 3 comments on that episode. So yeah. A lot of good stuff.
Anyways, yeah, a lot of good stuff. But moving on with this one though. Kite definitely has a very impactful role despite having a relatively small amount of time of screen/page time, but that time is used very effectively. Outside of him being a huge influence on Gon, there's still his relationship with Jing, which, if I remember correctly, is the entire reason Kite even went to Whale Island. You are correct. This leads Kite to not only save Gon's life, but also give important and accurate information about his dad's status and what a hunter is after he realized Gon was Jing's son. Which wasn't until Gon gave Kite an emotional stare when trying to save the fox bear cub. 2011 also provides Kite a flashback interacting with Jing when he was younger, which is nice, and I'll give 2011 some points regarding that. Was that not in the manga, that flashback?
Yeah, that is anime original, but
wow.
but it's still, he talks about it in the manga. Like, he mentions roughly how he met Jing, like, he, whatever. But yeah, we get to see a lot more details of it in the anime, which is cool. And I like to just treat it as canon because why not? We're not going to see any more than that.
Yeah, and there's no point to not treat it as canon, right? Like, it's not like it goes against anything.
No, it doesn't go against anything.
Yeah, very nice. I didn't know that. It seems Kite makes an impactful impression on people. We see it in the group he was mentoring, who all gladly helped him with the survey and cocking. He also used his resources to help a couple of his mentees protect a species that only stays at a specific location. Kite's actions just show him being a kind and selfless person despite appearing harsh at times. And that's what I love about him. He is the nicest dude on the planet despite looking otherwise in his appearance. His ability is a very unique and funny one, but man, I still really want to know what the other 6 numbers are for and how they function. Don't we all? I think that's that has to be one of the number one questions people just have to this day, right? It's just what are the other crazy slot numbers? It's such a cool and unique ability. I wonder if Togashi even knows himself or still has the intention of showing them off in the future. I doubt he thought that far ahead, to be honest.
I really doubt it.
But we'll see. There is room to explain that, I suppose, still. So if he wants to, if he finds a way to reintroduce crazy slots somehow. But by the way, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Moomin. I'm personally not, besides a few designs. But Kite's design being inspired by the character Snufkin is really neat and shows the wide range of media that has influenced Togashi in both minor and major ways. I am not familiar with that.
Me either. Nope, I'm looking it up though.
Okay. I'll continue reading.
Oh, yeah, it definitely does look like him. I don't know what this series is though.
Here, I'll look it up myself too. Why not? We have time. Oh, I kind of see it. Yeah. Huh. What the? I'm not familiar with this.
No, I have no idea what this is. Oh, it's like the little cow guy.
Oh, I still doesn't ring a bell. I'm sorry.
It's whatever. I've seen him around.
Okay. You'll have to enlighten me sometime.
Well, that's all I know. He's just a cow. That's
gotcha.
all I got.
Continuing on with the second half of this comment. As for how Kite affects the narrative, some would consider him to mainly be a plot device for Gon. While this is true to an extent, in 2011 it particularly feels this way in isolation. That's a good point. That's not necessarily a bad thing considering the execution. Now where things get a bit divisive is his resurrection. Though as we know, besides long hair, the body he revived in has absolutely nothing in common with his previous one. He doesn't even have a hat anymore. There's an argument to be made that this dilutes Gon's emotional turmoil from his death. However, this is the point and plays a part of Gon's understanding of how complex and dynamic the world he's in can be, for better or worse. I mean, he's had so many things taken away from him at this point, both directly and indirectly. Gon's been through enough, at least for now. Revived Kite's small talk with him also eased any lingering guilt and anxiety that Gon may have still had, despite how different Kite looks now. And yeah, that's what I really appreciate about that scene. Like, it's a nice little reprieve for Gon specifically after the hell he's been through over however many chapters that was at that point. He lost basically everything. So to give him a
in
small
his eyes,
victory,
he did.
In his eyes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And maybe some things that he hasn't quite realized yet either. Like, kind of his friendship with Killua, he kind of lost to a degree as well, right? It's never going to be the same as it was.
Changed, yeah.
Yeah. So I like that he has a small... I mean, it's a pretty huge victory, I guess, the way you can look at it. But I don't know. Just the fact that, like, he can ease up that guilt, like you said, right? I think that's very important for his character at that point in the story. So I appreciate that a lot. So Kite overall plays quite a significant role for both plot and themes, particularly one protagonist. Along with having a cool design, a unique and really effective ability, and a stern but caring personality that I feel was at least partially influenced by his experiences with Jing. And that goes to show as well. He's basically Jing, but nice.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, that is Kite. And I like that.
Yeah, exactly. Guy. Yeah, well put. Terror of Talos, you have our longest comment this week, so congrats on that.
Yeah, congrats. First one, too.
Yeah, first one and the longest.
First one of the episode, not your first comment in general.
No,
Yeah.
Not your first comment. We know who you are. We know everything about you.
Yes, everything. We're in your walls right now, actually.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Always. All right, next is from Milu Kitty from Bluesky. Thank you.
Thank you. Bluesky love.
Yes. Says, Kite is a super important character for Hunter x Hunter. 2011 adaptation did him so dirty. I can't believe that was my first impression of him. It was still a good enough first impression for it to become Dylan's favorite character, though.
It was, yeah.
So and there's something to be said about that.
My appreciation only grew, from finding out what it was like in the manga. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't fully catch the vibe until I saw 1999 and the manga. It's a shame. He's literally the reason the story happens in the first place. He is so cool. I wish we had more of him. Don't we all?
I think we will get more of Kite in the future. Just, it won't be the same Kite, obviously. But
yeah.
There's more story to be told there.
That sentence that you just said, he is so cool, I wish we had more of him. That is the entire reason he was killed off. It's to make you feel it. Like... Togashi wanted you to understand exactly what Gon was going through.
Togashi was a bastard in that moment in time. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's the genius behind it at the same time. I gotta respect it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, going into YouTube comments now. First up, we have Severa LF. Or Several F. I don't know how I'm supposed to read that. Sorry. Let's all give Kite a hand for his performance against Pito. Fucked up, man. Fucked up.
Wow. Low blow.
That was a low blow for sure.
Of course you have a Crollo icon.
What a Crollo thing to say.
All right, next is from Chaos E-Tank. Dylan, say the line.
Hey, Jesse, how you doing?
Badass character that made such a strong mystery appearance in the first episode of the 1999 version. Then you got to see him in action by the Chimera Ant arc in the 2011 version. I'm a big fan of anyone that uses a scythe as a weapon. Me too. Dylan, do you know Zalasamel from Soul Calibur by chance?
No, I'm not familiar.
Okay, I literally from like my earliest memories of liking character designs, I've been obsessed with that guy, and it's just because he has a scythe. It's the coolest shit ever. I love scythes a lot.
No, I'm with you. I don't talk about it often enough, I think, but like scythe is just one of my favorite weapons you can have in a game. If you have that as an option, I will gladly use it.
I'll take it immediately. Yeah. They're so cool.
The main job that I play in Final Fantasy 14 even, which is Reaper, they use a scythe as their weapon too. So I love it. I love scythes.
Yeah, they're just so sick. Something about them, man. I don't know. It's a gardening tool, but man, it looks so cool.
It's an aura farming weapon. I doubt it's really as effective as most games make it look, but like, oh my gosh, I don't know. It's just cool. I don't know.
Yeah,
There's no other
and
way to put it.
Kite, man, that's one of the best scythe users in the biz. He looks so cool with that thing. Those panels of him and the anime shots are just glued into my mind. He looks so cool.
It's funny because it's like the largest scythe in all of like mankind too.
Yeah, it's
whenever he pulls
huge.
it out.
Yeah.
Like wraps around his body almost.
I
At least in the
know,
anime
but it's,
version.
oh my god, it's so cool.
I love it.
Kite is just a character that I always wanted to see more of, and I'm curious if Togashi has any further plans for Kite in the future, or if the character's story is just over. What do you guys think? Well, we think he'll come back, or they'll come back.
I think there's I feel like, I mean, this is just a feeling because who knows what Tagashi's actually thinking and what he'll do, right? The vibe I get is that Kite will be explored more in the future when Gon and Killua get reintroduced back into the story. When that'll happen, if it'll happen, no idea. That being said, I think there is like a small chance that maybe Kite's story is just over, and I'm fine with that. I'm at peace with that if that is the case, but I do think there's more to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think at some point they'll come back. And honestly, I think it'll be a pretty major role once again.
Yeah.
At least, if not for a whole arc, at least for a time, like as we've talked about, maybe just another setup thing. Maybe they'll reteach Gon Nen or something. Although I'd still like Wing to do that and Zushi. I think that'd be really cool, but it could be Kite.
I could see it at least being like Kite and their team, whatever that looks like right now, being like the catalyst for like, hey, like we, Gon, Killua, we need you guys or something, right? I'm very much simplifying what that could look like, right? From how I'm explaining it, but at the very least, like a catalyst sort of role, like, hey, let's get the ball rolling on Gon and Killua again, and then get involved at a later point, maybe not right from the get go, but I don't know. They'll get involved at some point, I think, is kind of the vibe I get. But who knows?
I could even see it being the case where once we eventually return to the mainland, we could cut straight to Kite. That could be our window into things. Because if you think about it, Kite is the center of a lot of the characters that we know, and they could easily connect the dots to a lot of people and get something going. Because all it takes is for Kite to find out, like, either A, what's going on in the Dark Continent, or B, like, what Gyro's doing, whatever, some plot on the mainland. And then from there, Kite's just like, all right, let's make something happen. Let's get going. Let's get Killua. I need their help. Let's do this.
Don't forget, Gyro is a Chimera Ant at the at the current point. So if Kite catches wind of that, that kind of hits close to home for Kite, and they've been working on, right? So I mean, that's just one way to go about it. And you can even go back to a prior theory that I had about how, like, maybe we know that Moral and his crew is kind of like working with the boat and the Dark Continent stuff. Like they're waiting on like the fake Dark Continent or something, right?
Yep.
Maybe that's the window into like how Kite gets communicated to. There's avenues to go down. Kite is very, very central character. So
yes.
Only time will tell.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up we have Green Tornado X saying, I always thought of him as adjacent to Moral and Nov. Or Nov? It's Nov, right?
Yes.
Nov, yeah. But turns out he's actually more likely in his mid-20s, making him more similar and adjacent to Knuckle and Shoot. That's a really funny detail.
That's wild, yeah.
I forget that Kite is actually like that.
Yeah,
he
looks
looks like an old man.
Yeah, he does. It's the white hair.
Yeah, the white long hair specifically.
Yeah.
That just bothers me. And as I think of them as young people, I see Kite as a mentor, but it makes sense. Yeah, that's the thing. Kite is very much a mentor figure, so kind of is in our mind as like an older character by default, I feel like.
To talk about something else you love, Dylan, it's similar to Kamina from Gurren Lagann. He's only like 20, but...
No, Kamina's like 16.
Yeah, okay, I was going to say that at first, but I was like, no, that's too young. But no, yeah, that's right. He's stupidly young.
But he is still a mentor figure to the protagonist and Simone, so yeah.
Yep.
It's very much like that. What is it about me? Never mind, I'm not going to say anymore.
Okay.
I think you know what I was going to touch on, but
I think
I'm not spoiling anything. Yeah. There's something about the characters I like. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Next up is from Ultimate Power 01. He says, while he's Gon's role model, I love that he is fallible. Yes.
Yeah.
He was too confident in regards to the Chimera Ants, as stated by Moro and Jing. He went into Pito's range on purpose, and the outcome, his death, is all on him. He admitted as much when he told Gon he also needs more training. Correct, yeah. He fought Pito with one arm all night to the point Pito wanted a rematch. That drive for a rematch gave Pito the mindset that led to them creating their Hatsu of Dr. Blythe, which is a crucial ability in the arc. Would be out of the fight after Netero's slap, Komugi would be dead. Yeah, that's actually very true.
Yeah.
I'm glad Kite still lives on. Hope to see more of them in the future. Same
Very
here.
good point. Yeah. Kite wasn't a perfect character by any means.
No, yeah, he was super cocky, but he was smartly cocky. He definitely not. I'll say not for himself though. He was very adamant the whole way through about making sure that Gon and Killua were actually going to be okay. Which is why he kept testing them throughout the arc as like the stakes kept rising. Like if at any point if he saw any sign of them not being able to handle what was ahead, he would have sent them home.
Yeah, he would have booted them out immediately.
Yeah, he just realized a little too late with the Royal Guard, but you know.
And again, that goes back to how he admitted himself he needed more training because he even didn't really quite realize what they were stepping into with the upper echelon of the ants specifically.
Yeah.
Because at that point, Kite went through all the fodder and stuff. He's like, oh, this is like baby mode. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. Like, I'll just protect the boys and everything will be okay. And that obviously was not how he envisioned it. So,
no.
You know, not a perfect guy, but all the best intentions regardless.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have a Carolo B saying, Kite is a character I really love and grew attached to extremely quickly. Hey, same. He's strict, powerful, and authoritative, but at the same time kind, caring, and polite. He has all the qualities to take over the role of mentor after Bluesky and Wing. His death really shocked and saddened me. It was so sudden and violent. Even though resurrection is often a form of cheap fan service, I was so happy to see this character brought back to life. I think there's so much interesting potential to explore and discover about Kite's new form. I would pay so much to see him return in the upcoming chapters of the manga, as would I. I'd pay an indescribable amount of money to see Kite again at this point. And,
we kind of touched on it a little bit, but the potential of Kite's new body is pretty immense. I mean, they are a Chimera ant in theory, unless there's something we don't really understand about the body.
It's so weird because they were born after the Royal Guard and the King, so like that automatically makes it like, what the hell? Like, that's special. And they're the most human-looking Chimera ant by far out of all the ones born too. Like, and just how fast they age too is like other Chimera ants in that regard. But like, how does that go for like Nen specifically as well? Because of the way we don't really know how Kite died or what happened, with that weapon. Was like maybe post-mortem Nen involved to some degree. That could be touched on for sure, especially where we're at in the arc, or in the current arc rather. So the potential is limitless, I feel like, with that character.
Yeah, I don't think people talk enough about the fact that this isn't a cut and dry thing that Kite is just back. There is so much mystery around what happened, what is Kite right now. It's just like there's a lot to be said about this still, and we are definitely not done with it, unless we are, I guess. But
unless Togashi just forgets to go back to that, I guess. But I feel like Togashi sets stuff up for a reason, and that you could point to like as recently even with like the Phantom Troop backstory stuff, right? Like there were so many little details that they were just kind of like hinted at for that kind of stuff, and then it was just all like unfolded at once, like within those set of chapters.
Totally randomly too.
Yeah. So
just
who's
decided
to say,
to do it?
Yeah. So like, what's stopping Togashi from being like, okay, like we reach even some like climactic point in the boat, be like, okay, I'm gonna cut back to the mainland now. Let's see what Kite's up to, and then just reveal a bunch of stuff from there, right? That would be totally like Togashi, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
But the point also being that Togashi doesn't set stuff up randomly typically. So, and especially with Kite's character and the way this whole mystery was kind of introduced, there's something he has planned for it. I just don't know to what extent.
Yeah, for sure. Next is from KDaug222, who says, Kite is Jing's student and the one student acknowledged in the series by Jing. Rather, that's because he's favorited or stronger than Razor. That's not stated, but Kite is cool and one of the characters you like more and more on a rewatch or reread, similar to Crollo.
That's a good point. I mean, what is your perspective on that, Kaige? Because I think you've kind of re-experienced the series more than I have at this point.
Yeah, that's very accurate. I never really like pinned it down as that being the case, but for sure, I definitely, when I re-experience parts of the story, I mean, there's only so many parts of Kite you can re-experience. He's not in it for very long, but I definitely pick up something new about him every time I go back to his moments, and that's, I can't say that for every character in Hunter x Hunter for sure. So yeah, there's definitely something to be said about that.
Yeah, so I guess, proof's in the pudding, right?
Yeah.
All right. Next up is from the Young Knight, saying, the character who was given so much hype and build-up in the first chapter and lives up to it. He is so instrumental to Gon's journey that the story just wouldn't be the same without him. Mm-hmm. Gon's rage against Pito makes so much sense when you look back on his introduction in Chapter 1 and reflect on how much his presence affected Gon. It's such a great thing he is introduced at the very beginning. You wouldn't want it any other way. For no particular reason, I will repeat, Kite definitely needs to be introduced at the start of the series for the story to work as well. No particular reason.
Yeah, no reason for that.
No reason.
Yes, we agree. We've talked about it many times. I love that you mentioned how Gon's rage makes so much sense because of Chapter 1, and that is so true. Like, Kite, from Chapter 1, we are taught that's what Gon basically sees the world as, in a way. Kite is the world to him. He's all he knows from the outside world for so long.
Kite is Gon's ideal. Not just as, a role model, not just as a person, not just as a hunter. That is what, Gon's, aspirations in, a human form looks like.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I interpret it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, it makes all the sense in the world that when Gon loses that in a snap, he just loses everything about himself at the same time.
Yeah, it's his whole world literally crumbled. It's everything I know is a lie. It's over. What's left for me?
Which is ironic because he had so many other people beside him at the same time. But that's the flaw of Gon.
That's how narrow-sighted he is. Yeah.
Yep. But Kite was everything to him in that regard, though. He was on another level compared to everything else in the series up until that
point. Next is from Wacko Jacko, who says, a lot of my thoughts on Kite have already been said by others in the comments, so I'll just talk about this. While I typically don't care for character resurrections, I feel as though Kite has one of the most well done in anime. Thank you. We haven't gotten any haters yet. That's nice.
No, yeah, I'm very pleased about it.
Yeah. The initial mystique of it, with the impossibly small baby that I couldn't make heads or tails of, to the shocking name drop, the build-up was done in such a way that it didn't feel like bullshit or pandering. As confusing as it was at first, it made sense and benefited the plot. In fact, I like it so much that whether we see Kite again or not, I'm satisfied with his place in the story. However, if we get that theorized Dark Continent time skip, you better believe I want to see what a prime Chimera Ant Kite is capable of.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head there. Oh my!
I am right there with you, though. I would be satisfied if we don't see them again, but I really want to.
And that goes to show how well done the revival was done, I think. Because, if they leave it off right here, I'll be a little sad. Because, that's my favorite character. You were just not going to see any more of, obviously. Yeah. But I'm fine with it. The impact is there. There is a definitive beginning, middle, conclusion, But, if they decide to explore that character more, I'm all in. Again, the potential there is limitless. So... Mm-hmm. I think the revival was done incredibly well, and like you said, only really benefited the plot as a result of it, and only upped the mystique of just the consequences of Chimera Ant as well, which I think is really important coming out of an arc, especially Like, you want to have some kind of lasting consequence and or questions coming out of a massive arc like that. And that's just one of many, but definitely one that's up there for me.
I think people often forget that we are really not done with the mysteries left behind from Chimera Ant at all. There is so much repercussions from that arc that are just kind of waiting to happen.
People forget about Pearson having that army of Chimera Ants behind his back, basically, you know?
Oh, yeah. That's just at the ready, basically.
Mm-hmm. And then just the thought of, like, there's multiple Chimera Ants working
still
alongside hunters, still out there. Gyro's still out there.
Yep, Gyro's got Welfin in them.
Yep. Colt and Koala are working with the Hunter Association, basically, or not the Hunter Association, but working with like Kite and like Hunter adjacent kind of activities. I guess I don't know the best way to put it. But there's still stuff going on within the Chimera Ant world and adjacent to it. We're not out of the woods entirely with what that arc brought to the table.
No. Not at all. And Kite is one of the biggest examples of that. There's so much left to say about what Kite even is.
Yeah.
Like you got to think back to that introduction. Like you said, an impossibly small baby. Like, why? Why was that what Kite was?
Yeah. It's a valid question.
Yeah.
Especially with the Succession War and how Postmortem Nen is looking more and more like the topic to talk about going forward. Now you have something to connect that to potentially, like, maybe Kite had something to do with some post-mortem Nen shenanigans, and that might be important going forward. We don't really know, and again just goes to show how effective that revival was to the benefit of the plot, just as a whole. I don't think there was anything that revival failed on doing. So
yeah, absolutely.
I love it. Thank you for the comment.
Yes.
All right, you know him, you love him. If you're a regular listener of the show, it's insert name time.
Let's go.
Not one of the shortest insert name comments though I've seen in a long time. So, dang, congrats, I guess. I don't know what else to say about that. Anyways, I really like Kite's design. Big fan of absurdly thin characters with yaoi hands. Reminds me of Code Geass, and his outfit is just very clean.
Oh no. I hate Code Geass designs personally, but you're kind of right.
It's kind of right, though. It's a very Code Geass-like design.
It kind of is.
It's fine. It's
like got the Togashi twinge to it, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
He does kind of have yaoi hands, though. You're kind of right.
Nice blocked out colors, an interesting outfit. Just like Illumi. It's always fun to see how they animate people with these proportions. Though his kid design is his best. Love the little flashback.
Yeah.
Kid Kite's cool. I like Kid Kite. One thing I do wonder about is his team. They know he's a hunter. Is he teaching them Nen? Do they know Nen? What is the actual process for a hunter to do that?
I assume they aren't hunters.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I think you.
Well,
you don't
here. Wait, I have a wiki page pulled up. The amateur hunters, as they're called, are a group of aspiring hunters led and mentored by Kite.
So, in theory, it's a group of kites, of what Kite was to Jing. I guess one day maybe they'll take the exam, but it also doesn't seem like he's teaching them anything. They're kind of just friends. I don't know.
In the background on Hunterpedia, it says, although Kite called the group's members excellent hunters, it's unlikely that any of them have passed the hunter exam and possess a hunter license. Gon also asked Spin why she wants to be a hunter. None of the group's members are Nen users. So, if they're aspiring hunters, but it doesn't seem like Kite is really, teaching them anything. That kind of gives me the vibe that maybe Kite just isn't interested in teaching them anything about Nen until they actually become hunters, but...
Possibly. I do believe... I mean, Jing taught Kite Nen before he took the hunter exam, if I'm remembering correctly, so...
I don't remember the exact details of that, but you might be right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's really important either way, but that is an interesting question. It's weird, yeah. I honestly doubt that the amateur hunters are really going to have much of anything to do with the plot going forward, unfortunately. Maybe besides from, appearing alongside Kite at some point. But,
yeah,
I don't know. Also, my headcanon is that Kite did the classic D&D thing of just adopting and stealing the ridiculously named NPC he met. I'm sorry, if you have the name Stick Dinner, you must accept the social adoption of the strongest person you meet. It's the natural order. The urge to adopt Scrimblows is too strong. I'll agree to that.
I'm not a D&D guy, so I have no idea what that really means. Like, you can recruit NPCs?
Yeah, depending on the campaign you play.
Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'd recruit a guy named Stick Dinner.
Yeah, he seems like a cool guy.
Yeah.
Also, Pito, you missed an opportunity. You could have made Kite into literally a kite.
So true. So true.
Why didn't we think of that? Why didn't anybody think of that? Gosh, he fucked up.
He really did.
Yeah. His power is one I've struggled to consider since it has too many unknown variables. Yes, and that's what I love about it, though. It's the most like mysterious Nen ability in the entire series, I feel like.
It is.
Absolutely limitless just by design. Like at best, I could see that 2 of the ones we have seen seem to simulate emitter-based abilities, but beyond that, it's difficult to even theorize how it works outside of the whole did the mace move his soul thing since we just got nothing. Yeah. Theories about the mace, but that's basically it.
That's all you can do because you can't theorize about something you literally don't know at all. Like
no.
we can't theorize about the other numbers because we don't know a single thing about them.
No, and it doesn't help that the other 2 weapons he used are like the most simple things of all time: a gun and a scythe. Like,
yeah, that's it.
There's nothing special about those really that we've seen, anyways. And so that just leaves the other 6 numbers. It could be like literally any item or weapon. And it could be plausible, but we just don't know. And it could be even more complicated than the 2 weapons we've seen, but we just don't know, you know?
Yep, no idea.
So it's too many unknowns, like you said, but that's what makes it so cool to me. He's just a pretty chill guy. He leaves a generally solid, positive impression.
So true.
I can tell you're not quite as hot on the character as like maybe I am, but that's fine. I think they're
very few are though, Dylan.
No, very few are, and I'm at peace with that. I recognize
it's
that.
Unique.
You know? But yeah, Kite's just a cool guy though. At the end of the day, you know, despite if you love him or not, I think it's a massive red flag if someone were to hate Kite.
There's no Kite haters. I don't think. Does a Kite hater exist? Find me one.
Yeah, if there is one that exists, I'd love to meet him. I actually would love to meet him.
Because I just don't like, what is there to hate even?
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to have a conversation. Like, I need to get that perspective because I genuinely just can't see it.
If I maybe stretch my mind enough, I could maybe see like a 2011 only watcher dislike him just because of his weird introduction. But even then, like, I think he grows on you, even despite the weirdness at the beginning.
Again, you're going to tell me you see the silent waltz and you're just not going to be like enamored by that point? I don't know. Kind of crazy to me.
Yeah. Finally, lastly, insert name. You didn't get the last one this time. It is Peya Isola, who I think it's been a minute since we've seen a comment from them. Says Kite is a really good character, but he isn't there. But there isn't enough of him. He isn't even in my top 15 Hunter x Hunter characters. Ooh. Steep competition. Fair. That is steep competition.
It is steep. There is a lot of good characters.
I hope we get more Kite through his reincarnation. Me too.
Don't we all? So, yeah, it seems like the general consensus then is that most people like Kite at the very least. You know, not anybody's favorite in particular, except for mine, I guess. But people want to see more of Kite though, and you know they're interested in seeing what what that character's future entails, and that's cool for me to see. I think I feel like in a world where everyone's favorite character is like Gon or Killua or Hisoka or Meruem or Crollo, it's always so weird for me to be like, yeah, Kite's my favorite character, guys. I'm right here. Hi, I exist. You know, but just to see that other people are like still genuinely interested to see more of that character makes me happy.
Yeah, before we round off, Dylan, do you want to like state your case at all any further, just like on why you like him so much? I mean, you already did to some extent, but is there any additional details you want to like provide?
I mean, again, he was kind of one of the few first few characters where like they're their death just really impacted me, maybe really emotional, you know, because like I really just connected with the character.
Yeah.
Thought they were like the coolest thing in the world, and then they just were gone, you know. But more than that, though, as the years went on, I think just his use, not only as a character but as a vessel and a device for other characters and other plot lines to kind of flow through. I really just grew to appreciate that out of Kite, and it's important. I like it a lot, especially because of how short of a time he's there for, but yet how effective he is in that short amount of time. Leaves a lasting impression, right? And while also just being like one of the coolest designs and characters to me in general in the series. So that's what made me get really attached to Kite, and I don't know. It really isn't much more than that, I feel like. And again, I see the arguments of like, you know, other characters being cooler than that even, but I don't know. Every time I think about another character potentially being like my favorite over Kite, I just can't bring myself to commit to that, because Kite is just, call it like maybe nostalgia to some degree or just like very like surface level stuff, but no one just beats Kite for me in terms of just being like the coolest character and just like the character with the longest lasting impression on me.
That's really fair. I especially understand like how, you know, you said his death really affected you. It's like the first anime death that really like stuck in your head.
It wasn't the first, but it
one.
was.
I'm sure it was.
Probably.
I'm sure I know the first one. I'm sure
you know the first.
Yeah.
But something about those characters I like.
Yeah, it's and I totally get that, because Naruto was my first anime ever, and there's a death. I won't say death because I know at some point you're gonna experience Naruto, Dylan, right?
Sure.
Right?
Oh yeah, you're right. You have faith in me. Yeah.
But very early on, like literally the first arc, if you know Naruto, you know who dies. That was an incredibly impactful death for me as a kid. Like just seeing it on Cartoon Network as like I don't know even how old, probably like 7, 6. I don't know. I was like, oh my god, dude, life is hard. Like that hit me.
This can
like
happen in a cartoon.
Yeah, like holy hell, that was like a wake up call for me. That death changed my brain chemistry as a kid.
Yeah. And
I put that character in very high esteem for a long time, and I still do. I think that is a very well executed character for how little of the series that they're in. So yeah, I can really connect with that detail about, you know, Kite's death just kind of, you know, landing with you in a way that it might not even for other people,
and
just because of circumstance.
Yeah, and a large part of that is also just because of how sudden it is, and just like the fact that it's a showcase of like no matter how awesome and cool and, you know, everything can be, and, you know, how happy, you know, things seem to be going, it could just be taken away in an instant, right? It was that way for Gon. It was that way for me too, and so it really resonated with me in that regard, and still something I think about to this day. Just like experiencing that in the moment, like wow, like they really just took this character away from me as it was as it was getting good, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Again, very similar to one of my other favorite series, you know. But yeah, I just I don't know. I really there's something about the storytelling aspect of that I just really appreciate, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, unless you have any other thoughts, Kaige, I believe this wraps up community comments. And yeah, so again, I'll remind everyone as well. Again, if you want to get in on the fun, discussing any topic given week to week, make sure you keep an eye out for the YouTube community posts as well as the call out posts on Twitter and Bluesky. And of course, you could always email us your thoughts at hunterassociationpod@gmail.com.
Yes, sir. And with that, this has been the Hunter Association. Thank you so much for listening. We are available on all major podcasting platforms as well as YouTube for the video version. Be sure to follow, rate, review, and comment on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You can also follow us on Twitter at what the hell? at Twitter.
Yeah. It's been a couple weeks.
Give us a break. On Twitter at TXHXAPod, as well as Bluesky at THAPod for updates on the show and as an alternative way to submit responses to the weekly call-out posts. As always, we'll be here the same time every week talking about Hunter x Hunter. Dylan, where can people find you online?
You can find me online at DJ Tengen. That's DJTENGEN on Twitter and Bluesky. I've been in my One Piece card game arc again as of late, so I've been posting a lot about that. You can go find my thoughts there on Twitter and Bluesky.
And he successfully got like our entire friend group into it as well.
I'm still shocked about that. I don't know how that even happened. I wasn't expecting that going into MomoCon weekend, and then all of a sudden I got like 4 people to buy a starter deck. So
yep,
I'll take it, I guess. But I believe 2 of our friends went to a pre-release today for the new set. So
oh really?
Yeah, they committed.
Oh wow,
Dan did at least.
That's awesome, man. Is that like still going on, or is that?
I don't know if it's still going. Did Bob send you a snap today of the promo card that he got from the
yes,
card shop?
Yeah, it was awesome.
One of the coolest cards I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was so cool.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know how that happened. So go see my other One Piece TCG escapades on Twitter and Bluesky.
And you also got. We're talking about just our friends now, I guess, but you just got Bob to start watching the show too, man.
Yeah.
You got, like, this
all it took was the card game, I guess.
Yeah, game changer, bro.
Dude, he's been binging it too, if you've noticed.
I know.
He's probably almost done with Fishman Island by now.
Yeah, he's gotta be.
Had to guess.
So exciting.
Yeah. Anyway, what a world we live in, right?
Yeah, for real. So anyways, Hunter x Hunter. Yeah, so next week, guys, of course, we're going to be continuing Hunter x Hunter 1999. We'll be doing episodes 22 to 24. Very excited about that, to get back into that.
Been a while.
And yes, and we'll figure out what happens after that. As always, we have like a what do we call them? I don't know.
Like variety.
Variety hour. I don't know. Well, whatever it is.
We don't quite have that week figured out, unfortunately, yet. So
no, we do not. We'll
figure
it out.
On that. Yeah. We were just on vacation. Give us some slack.
Yeah, give us a break. All right. We'll see you guys for Hunter x Hunter 1999 next week. Until then, see you later.
See you guys. Take care.